John sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel tightly as he stared at the traffic ahead. The honking horns, the flashing lights, the endless stream of cars, it all felt like a metaphor for his life lately. He had been pushing, forcing, and fighting to make everything work. His career, his relationships, even his hobbies. But no matter how much effort he poured in, nothing seemed to flow. Every path felt blocked, every attempt met with resistance. Frustrated and exhausted, he found himself wondering if the problem wasn't the world around him, but the way he was approaching it. That night, as he scrolled through his phone looking for some clarity, he stumbled upon a quote. "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, and you'll be happy." It was from Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers. The words hit John like a revelation. He realized he had been so focused on controlling every detail of his life that he'd forgotten how to simply let things unfold. Inspired, John decided to try a new approach. Instead of forcing outcomes, he would embrace the art of letting go, of trusting the process, focusing on what he could control, and finding peace in the flow of life. Little by little, things began to change. The traffic didn't seem so overwhelming, the setbacks felt less personal, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of calm. In today's episode, we'll explore the wisdom John discovered, the art of letting things happen. Drawing from Stoic philosophy and practical advice, we'll uncover why forcing things rarely works and how letting go can transform your life. Let's dive into this journey of trust, balance, and inner peace. 1. Why forcing things doesn't work. Have you ever noticed how the harder you try to make something happen, the more it seems to resist? You push, you stress, you pour in all your energy, and yet the outcome feels further away than ever. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the more it slips away. This is the trap of forcing things, and it's something the Stoics deeply understood. The Stoics believed that trying to control everything is not only exhausting, but counterproductive. Epictetus wisely taught, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." When we refuse to accept this and try to force outcomes that are beyond our control, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Think about a time when you pushed too hard, maybe at work, in a relationship, or even in a personal goal. How often did that actually lead to success, and how often did it leave you feeling drained? Forcing things doesn't work because it creates resistance, within ourselves and in the world around us. It's like trying to push open a door that says, "Pull." You're expending energy in the wrong direction, and instead of progress, you end up stuck, frustrated, or worse, damaging the very thing you're trying to fix. The Stoics remind us that life flows best when we work with it, not against it. John, the character from our introduction, experienced this firsthand. He spent weeks obsessing over a project at work, trying to micromanage every detail to ensure success. But instead of achieving his goal, he alienated his colleagues and burned himself out. It wasn't until he stepped back and trusted his team to contribute that things started falling into place. The lesson: sometimes the best way forward is to release the need for control and let events unfold naturally. This doesn't mean you stop putting in effort. The Stoics weren't advocates of passivity. Instead, they emphasized the importance of focusing on what you can control, your actions, your decisions, your mindset, and letting go of what you can't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By directing your energy toward what's within your power, you reduce the mental and emotional exhaustion that comes from forcing the impossible. Think of it like planting a garden. You can prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and water them daily. But no matter how hard you try, you can't force the flowers to bloom faster. Nature has its own timing, and life works the same way. Trusting the process allows you to find peace and patience in the waiting, knowing you've done your part. The beauty of letting go of force lies in the freedom it brings. Instead of obsessing over results, you can focus on the journey. Instead of draining yourself trying to control everything, you can conserve your energy for the things that truly matter. And instead of battling resistance at every turn, you'll find yourself moving more effortlessly with the natural flow of life. So, why doesn't forcing things work? Because it pulls you away from reality, creating unnecessary struggle and leaving you frustrated when life doesn't bend to your will. The Stoics teach us that peace comes from aligning our efforts with what we can control and releasing our grip on everything else. When you let go of the need to force outcomes, you free yourself to live with clarity, purpose, and strength. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, what am I trying to force in my life right now? And what would happen if I simply let go? You might be surprised at how much smoother life feels when you stop pushing and start trusting. 2. Embrace the power of letting go. Letting go. Those two simple words can feel impossibly difficult when you're in the thick of trying to hold on. Whether it's clinging to a relationship, obsessing over a goal, or agonizing over a missed opportunity, the grip we maintain often feels like the only way to stay in control. But what if the real strength isn't in holding tighter, but in releasing what no longer serves us? The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca wrote, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." Much of our pain doesn't come from life itself, but from our refusal to let go of things we cannot control. Letting go isn't about giving up, it's about choosing peace over chaos. It's the act of trusting that life's natural flow will guide you to where you need to be. Take John, for example. He had spent months clinging to a business partnership that had become toxic. Despite mounting stress, endless arguments and dwindling results, he refused to let go. He thought that if he just worked harder or pushed a little more, things would turn around. But when he finally made the difficult decision to step away, he felt a wave of relief he hadn't experienced in years. By letting go, John reclaimed his energy and opened the door to new opportunities. Letting go creates space for what truly matters. Imagine a cluttered room filled with broken furniture and outdated belongings. You can't bring in something new and beautiful until you clear the space. The same is true for your mind and your life. By releasing what weighs you down, whether it's a past mistake, a toxic relationship, or an unachievable expectation, you make room for growth, clarity, and genuine fulfillment. But letting go doesn't mean indifference or apathy. The Stoics teach us to engage fully with life, putting in effort where it counts, but to release our attachment to specific outcomes. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." This balance between effort and surrender is where true freedom lies. The process of letting go often starts with acknowledgement. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Be honest about the things in your life that cause more harm than good. It could be a grudge that eats away at your peace, a goal that no longer aligns with your values, or a fear that holds you back from growth. Once you identify it, take a moment to reflect on why you're holding on. Is it out of habit, fear, or the illusion of control? Practical steps can help ease the transition. Journaling is a powerful tool. Write down what you're struggling to let go of and explore how it's affecting your life. Breathing exercises or meditation can help ground you in the present moment, reminding you that the weight you carry doesn't define you. Visualize what your life could look like without this burden and focus on the possibilities that come with release. John found these practices transformative. Once he let go of his draining partnership, he noticed how much lighter and more focused he felt. Opportunities he hadn't noticed before began to appear, and he found himself reconnecting with his purpose. Letting go wasn't an act of weakness for John, it was a declaration of strength and trust in life's flow. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring, it means choosing to move forward. It's about accepting that you've done what you can and releasing the rest to the natural course of life. The power of letting go lies in the peace it brings, the space it creates, and the resilience it builds. So, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? When you find the courage to let go, you'll discover the freedom, strength, and clarity you've been searching for all along. The Stoics knew this, and now it's your turn to embrace it. Letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of something better. 3. Change your perspective. There's a story about two people looking at the same stormy sky. One sees a looming threat, a sign that plans will be ruined. The other sees the promise of rain, the nourishment needed for new growth. The sky hasn't changed, but the way they perceive it makes all the difference. This is the power of perspective, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Challenges and obstacles are inevitable in life, but what truly matters is how you choose to see them. You can view difficulties as barriers to your happiness, or you can see them as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. John learned this lesson the hard way. After pouring months of effort into a side business, it all fell apart. His first instinct was to call it a failure. He replayed every misstep in his mind, blaming himself for not doing enough. But then he remembered a quote he'd read, "Adversity introduces a man to himself." What if this wasn't failure? What if it was a chance to refine his approach, learn, and try again with more clarity and purpose? The Stoics teach us that the events of life are neutral. It's our interpretation of them that gives them meaning. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This isn't about denying hardship or pretending everything is fine. It's about shifting your focus. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Perspective isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing how to engage with it. When faced with an obstacle, you can let it paralyze you, or you can let it propel you forward. Consider the challenges you faced in the past. How many of them, in hindsight, turned out to be valuable lessons? Often the most difficult moments in life are the ones that shape us in the most profound ways. John began to apply this mindset. Instead of dwelling on the failure of his side business, he analyzed what went wrong. He realized that he had been trying to do too much alone, and that collaboration might have made a difference. He also saw that the experience had taught him skills he could apply in other areas of his life. What once felt like a dead end now felt like a detour, a new direction he hadn't considered before. Changing your perspective doesn't come naturally. It's a skill that requires practice. The Stoics often used the technique of reframing. When faced with a challenge, they would deliberately look for the silver lining. For example, Losing a job might be seen not as an end, but as a chance to pursue a more fulfilling path. Missing an opportunity could become a reminder to prepare better for the next one. This practice shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's possible. Practical exercises can help you develop this skill. Start by journaling about a recent challenge. Write down what happened, how you initially felt, and how you might reframe the situation. What lessons can you take from it? What opportunities might it present? Over time, this habit trains your mind to approach difficulties with curiosity and resilience. Perspective also involves gratitude. Even in the midst of struggle, there are things to be thankful for: a supportive friend, a moment of calm, or the strength to keep going. Gratitude grounds you, reminding you that life is never entirely bleak. It's a practice that helps you see not just the storm, but also the rain that nourishes the earth. The Stoics believed that life is a series of challenges, but they also believed that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By changing your perspective, you reclaim that power. You transform obstacles into stepping stones and setbacks into setups for something greater. So, ask yourself, what challenges in my life can I see differently? How might they be helping me grow? When you change your perspective, you don't just survive life's difficulties, you thrive because of them. And in doing so, you embody the Stoic wisdom of turning trials into triumphs. 4. Detach without losing passion. How often have you found yourself obsessing over a result? Maybe it's a promotion you're chasing, a project you're perfecting, or even a relationship you're trying to make work. The desire to succeed is natural, but when that desire turns into fixation, it can become a heavy burden. The Stoics teach us that true freedom comes not from indifference, but from detachment, caring deeply while letting go of the need to control the outcome. Detachment doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It's about focusing on the process, not the result. Epictetus wisely said, "Do your best in everything, and then leave the rest to the gods." What he meant was simple. Give your best effort to what's within your control, your actions, your preparation, your attitude, and release your grip on what lies beyond it. Think about planting a seed. You can nurture it with water, sunlight, and care, but you can't force it to grow faster. Life works the same way. The more you obsess over the outcome, the more frustrated and exhausted you become. But when you trust the process and focus on what you can control, you free yourself to act with clarity and purpose. Detachment is a skill you can develop through practice. Start by reframing your goals. Instead of saying, "I need to achieve this," try saying, "I will do everything in my power to move toward this goal, and I'll accept whatever happens." This shift allows you to stay passionate without becoming consumed by the pressure to succeed. Another way to practice detachment is by setting boundaries for your time and energy. For example, if you're working on a project, give it your full attention during work hours, but resist the urge to think about it endlessly after. Create a mental space where you can recharge and regain perspective. Detachment also applies to relationships. Sometimes we hold on to people or dynamics that aren't healthy because we fear losing them. But the truth is, clinging too tightly often pushes others away. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful connection. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you allow the relationship to grow naturally, without unnecessary force or manipulation. Passion and detachment are not opposites. They are partners. When you let go of the need to control outcomes, your energy shifts from fear and anxiety to focus and creativity. You can still care deeply and work hard, but you do so with a sense of freedom. This is the balance the Stoics call us to embrace. So, the next time you find yourself obsessing over an outcome, take a deep breath and ask yourself, have I done my best? Is this within my control? If the answer is yes, then it's time to let go. Detachment isn't about apathy. It's about trusting the process, focusing on what matters, and finding peace in the effort itself. You'll discover that the results often take care of themselves when you stop trying to force them. 5. Be patient, not pushy. John tapped his fingers impatiently on the table, staring at the notification screen of his phone. He had applied for a promotion weeks ago, and every passing day felt like an eternity. He'd checked in with his manager multiple times, sent follow-up emails, and spent countless hours imagining how the announcement would play out. But nothing came. The more he pushed for an answer, the more distant the possibility seemed. Frustrated, John wondered if his impatience was doing more harm than good. Patience is one of the most underrated strengths in life, yet the Stoics recognized it as essential to inner peace and success. Seneca wrote, "Time discovers truth. Trying to rush life, outcomes, or even personal growth is like planting a seed and demanding it bloom the next day. Life unfolds at its own pace, and pushing too hard often leads to unnecessary stress and missed opportunities. Being patient doesn't mean being passive. It means learning to balance effort with acceptance, knowing when to act and when to let time do its work. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our actions, attitudes, and decisions, while releasing our grip on things that are out of our hands, like timing and external responses. Impatience, by contrast, only amplifies frustration and anxiety, pulling us further from the peace we seek. John's constant pushing wasn't helping his chances of promotion. If anything, it was making him look desperate and unsettled. When he finally stopped checking his phone obsessively and decided to trust the process, he found that his days became less tense. He redirected his energy into doing excellent work and showing his value through action rather than pressure. Weeks later, when the promotion finally came, John realized that patience had been the missing piece all along. Patience requires a mindset shift. Instead of focusing on how quickly something can happen, focus on how well you're preparing for it. Think of it like baking bread. You can't rush the process. Kneading, proofing, and baking all take time. If you try to skip steps or turn up the heat to speed things along, you'll ruin the outcome. Life works the same way. True success and growth often require time to mature, and patience is the ingredient that ensures the best results. But patience isn't just about waiting. It's about waiting well. It's about cultivating trust in the process and finding peace in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." This wisdom reminds us that everything worthwhile takes time, and rushing it only creates stress. How can you practice patience in a world that thrives on immediacy? Start by recognizing the signs of impatience in yourself. Are you constantly checking for updates, refreshing your email, or overthinking the same situation? When you catch yourself in these moments, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is there anything I can do right now to change this, or am I trying to control the uncontrollable? If the answer is the latter, let it go. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for cultivating patience. When you feel impatience creeping in, focus on the present moment. Engage fully with what's in front of you instead of obsessing over what's to come. This not only helps reduce anxiety, but also makes the waiting period more productive and enjoyable. Journaling can also help. Write about what you're waiting for and why it matters to you. Then, reflect on what steps you can take now to prepare or improve your situation. Redirecting your energy toward what you can do helps ease the tension of waiting and gives you a sense of progress. Patience isn't about passively sitting back. It's about actively choosing to trust the timing of life. It's about working diligently on what's within your power and letting go of what isn't. As John discovered, the reward for patience isn't just the eventual outcome, it's the peace and clarity you gain along the way. So, the next time you feel the urge to push, ask yourself, am I planting seeds or am I digging them up to see if they've grown? Choose patience. Trust the process. Life will unfold in its own time, and when it does, you'll be ready to embrace it fully. That's the art of being patient without being pushy, a lesson the Stoics knew well and one that can transform your life. 6. Balance, effort, and surrender. Imagine standing at the edge of a river, holding a small boat. You can paddle with all your strength against the current, trying to force your way upstream, or you can flow with the river, steering wisely and letting it carry you forward. Life is much the same. The Stoics taught that success comes from balancing effort and surrender, doing your part while trusting that the rest will unfold as it should. At first glance, effort and surrender might seem like opposites. How can you work hard while also letting go? The answer lies in understanding what's within your control and what isn't. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This wisdom invites us to pour our energy into actions we can influence, our decisions, habits, and mindset, while releasing our attachment to outcomes. Think about a seed. You can plant it, water it, and provide sunlight, but you can't force it to sprout or bloom on your timeline. Your effort nurtures the conditions for growth, but the result depends on factors beyond your control. Life works the same way. When you balance effort with surrender, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and allow success to happen naturally. This balance is especially important in today's fast-paced world, where the pressure to succeed often leads to burnout. Overexerting yourself, whether in your career, relationships, or personal goals, can leave you exhausted and disillusioned. But surrendering entirely and doing nothing is equally unproductive. The sweet spot lies in showing up consistently and wholeheartedly, then trusting the process to unfold in its own time. How do you strike this balance? Start by identifying what's within your control. For example, if you're working toward a promotion, your effort might include improving your skills, meeting deadlines, and contributing positively to your team. But the final decision, whether you get the promotion, is beyond your control. Surrendering means accepting that you've done your part and letting go of the anxiety tied to the result. Another way to practice this balance is by setting intentions instead of rigid expectations. Intentions focus on the quality of your effort. I will give my best, rather than I must achieve this specific outcome. This mindset keeps you grounded in the present, where your actions have the most power, rather than obsessing over the future. Remember, surrender isn't about giving up. It's about trusting the flow of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What happens to you happens for the world as a limb of it. What benefits one benefits all." This perspective encourages us to see the bigger picture, recognizing that even setbacks and delays are part of a larger plan we may not fully understand. Balancing effort and surrender also applies to relationships and personal growth. In relationships, you can show love, communicate clearly, and offer support, but you can't control how someone responds. In personal growth, you can commit to self-improvement, but progress often takes time and patience. By focusing on the process and releasing attachment to immediate results, you allow both yourself and others the space to grow authentically. When you feel the urge to overexert yourself or obsess over outcomes, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, have I done everything I reasonably can? If the answer is yes, it's time to surrender. Trust that your efforts are enough and that life will carry you forward just as the river carries the boat. Balancing effort and surrender isn't easy. It's an ongoing practice. But when you embrace this harmony, you align yourself with the Stoic ideal of resilience and adaptability. You stop battling the current and start flowing with it, conserving your energy for what truly matters. Show up, give your best, and trust the rest to unfold as it's meant to. In this balance, you'll find strength, peace, and a deeper connection to life's natural rhythm. 7. Overcoming emotional barriers to letting go. Letting go sounds simple in theory. Just release what no longer serves you and move on. But in reality, it's often our emotions that make letting go so difficult. Fear, doubt, guilt, and the need for control can act as powerful barriers, holding us back from freeing ourselves. The Stoics understood that the root of these emotional struggles lies not in the external world, but in how we perceive and respond to it. Epictetus reminds us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Often, it's not the act of letting go that's hard, it's the fear of what it represents. What if letting go means failure? What if it means losing something valuable or stepping into the unknown? These questions can feel overwhelming, but the truth is, most of our fears are exaggerated by our minds. One of the biggest emotional barriers to letting go is the fear of losing control. We convince ourselves that if we just hold on tightly enough, whether to a relationship, a job, or a dream, we can steer it in the direction we want. But this is an illusion. The Stoics teach us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. As Epictetus said, some things are up to us, and some things are not. The sooner we accept this truth, the easier it becomes to release what's beyond our influence. Another common barrier is the fear of failure. Letting go can feel like admitting defeat, as if you're giving up on something you should have been able to fix. But the Stoics challenge this notion by reframing failure as part of growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." Letting go isn't about giving up, it's about making room for something better. Guilt is another emotion that can keep us stuck. You might feel responsible for holding things together, whether it's a struggling friendship, a difficult family dynamic, or an unfulfilling job. But guilt often comes from taking on burdens that aren't yours to carry. Ask yourself, is this responsibility truly mine, or am I holding on to it out of habit or obligation? Letting go doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities. It means recognizing where your energy is being drained unnecessarily. To overcome these emotional barriers, start by acknowledging them. Identify what's holding you back, whether it's fear, guilt, or doubt, and name it. Sometimes, simply recognizing the emotion can reduce its power over you. Next, challenge the thoughts behind it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I let go? Often the answer is far less frightening than you imagine. Practical exercises can also help. Journaling is a powerful way to explore your emotions and untangle the thoughts keeping you stuck. Write about what you're struggling to release, why it's hard, and what you stand to gain by letting go. Breathing exercises and meditation can also ground you in the present moment, reducing the anxiety tied to the past or future. Remember, letting go is a process, not a one-time decision. Be patient with yourself as you work through your emotions. You don't have to rush or force it. Small steps lead to meaningful progress. Celebrate the moments when you take even a tiny step toward release, and trust that each step brings you closer to freedom. The Stoics teach us that true peace comes from mastering our emotions, not suppressing them. By confronting the fears and doubts that hold you back, you reclaim your power. Letting go becomes not an act of weakness, but a profound expression of strength and wisdom. So, ask yourself, what emotions are keeping me from letting go? What might I gain by releasing this burden? When you confront these barriers with honesty and courage, you'll discover that the freedom on the other side is worth the effort. Letting go isn't easy, but it's one of the most liberating acts you can do for yourself. 8. Letting go in relationships. Relationships are some of the most meaningful parts of our lives, but they can also be some of the most challenging. We often hold on tightly to people, partners, friends, or even family members, out of love, fear, or habit. Sometimes this attachment turns into a need for control, trying to shape the relationship into what we want it to be, rather than allowing it to grow naturally. The Stoics remind us that true connection comes not from clinging, but from trusting, and, sometimes, from letting go. Healthy relationships thrive on trust and mutual respect, not on control. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." While this might seem unrelated, it speaks to a deeper truth. In relationships, we must sometimes risk appearing vulnerable or imperfect, rather than striving to control how others see us or how they behave. Letting go of this need for control creates space for authenticity and genuine connection. Letting go in relationships doesn't mean giving up on people. It means releasing the unrealistic expectations or behaviors that strain the bond. Think about a time when you tried to micromanage a relationship, constantly texting for reassurance, worrying about how you were perceived, or trying to fix someone else's problems. Did it bring you closer, or did it create distance? Often, the harder we try to control, the more strained the relationship becomes. True connection is built on allowing others the freedom to be themselves. This means accepting that you can't control someone else's actions, feelings, or decisions. You can only control how you show up in the relationship, your honesty, your kindness, and your willingness to communicate openly. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own." In relationships, this means embracing people for who they are, not who you wish they would be. Letting go also means recognizing when a relationship is no longer serving you. This can be one of the hardest decisions to make, especially when emotions are involved. But holding on to unhealthy dynamics, whether it's a toxic friendship, a one-sided partnership, or a relationship built on unresolved conflict, only drains your energy and limits your growth. By letting go, you make space for healthier connections and for your own personal well-being. Practical steps can help you navigate this process. Start by reflecting on your relationships. Ask yourself, am I holding on to this relationship out of love and respect, or out of fear and habit? Be honest about the dynamics at play and whether they align with your values and needs. Next, focus on clear communication. If something in the relationship feels off, express your thoughts calmly and respectfully. This openness can often resolve tension and strengthen the bond. If letting go becomes necessary, approach it with compassion for both yourself and the other person. Letting go doesn't mean cutting ties in anger or resentment. It means acknowledging that the relationship, as it stands, is no longer healthy or fulfilling for either party. Wish them well and allow both of you to move forward. Lastly, remember that relationships evolve. Letting go doesn't always mean an ending. Sometimes it means giving the relationship room to grow in a new direction. For example, shifting a friendship that's become distant into occasional check-ins, or reducing the intensity of a partnership to focus on your own growth. By letting go of rigid expectations, you allow the relationship to find its natural balance. The Stoics teach us that love and respect are not about possession, but about presence. When you let go of control, you allow relationships to thrive on trust and mutual understanding. And when you release what no longer serves you, you open yourself to deeper connections and greater peace. Ask yourself, where am I holding too tightly in my relationships? How might letting go bring us closer or bring me peace? In embracing this wisdom, you'll discover that letting go isn't the end of connection. It's the beginning of something more authentic and meaningful. 9. Find inner peace through letting go. Have you ever noticed how holding on to worries, grudges, or unmet expectations feels like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go? The weight grows with every step, slowing you down and draining your energy. The Stoics understood that to find true inner peace, we must learn to set that backpack down. Letting go of what doesn't serve us is not just a practice, it's a pathway to liberation. Inner peace begins with releasing unnecessary worries. The Stoics remind us that much of what we stress over is beyond our control. Epictetus famously said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." Whether it's a future event that may never happen or a past mistake you can't undo, worrying achieves nothing but robbing you of the present moment. Letting go of these worries means trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to, while you focus on what you can control. Grudges are another source of unnecessary weight. Holding on to anger or resentment towards someone doesn't harm them, it harms you. Imagine drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Letting go of grudges is not about excusing bad behavior, it's about choosing freedom over bitterness. When you release resentment, you reclaim the mental space it occupied, allowing you to focus on growth and positivity. Expectations can also block your path to peace. We often cling to how we think life should be, how others should behave, how situations should unfold, or how quickly success should come. But life rarely aligns with our expectations. The Stoics encourage us to approach life with flexibility, accepting reality as it is rather than fighting against it. When you let go of rigid expectations, you free yourself from disappointment and create room for gratitude and possibility. Finding inner peace through letting go doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging what you're holding on to and asking yourself, is this helping me or is it holding me back? If it's the latter, it's time to release it. Start small. Take a few minutes each day to reflect on what's weighing on your mind. Write it down in a journal, and next to each item, ask yourself, is this within my control? For the things you can influence, make a plan to address them. For the things you can't, practice letting them go. Visualization can help. Imagine placing your worries in a box and setting it aside, or picture them floating away like leaves on a stream. Another practice is mindfulness. When your mind feels cluttered with worries or regrets, bring yourself back to the present moment. Focus on your breath, the sensations around you, or the simple act of being alive. The Stoics believed in the power of grounding yourself in the here and now. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present. In this space, you'll find that most of the burdens you carry lose their grip on you. Letting go doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill you develop over time. Each time you release a worry, a grudge, or an expectation, you lighten your load and move closer to inner peace. The process requires patience and self-compassion, but the rewards are profound. Imagine a life where your mind feels clear, your heart feels light, and your energy is focused on what truly matters. That's the gift of letting go. It's not about giving up. It's about creating space for joy, growth, and freedom. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that's keeping me from peace? How can I begin to let it go? The path to inner peace is not paved with control or resistance. It's found in the quiet courage to release what no longer serves you. Letting go is the first step toward living with clarity, strength, and serenity. 10. Try these practical exercises to let go. Letting go is more than just a philosophical idea. It's a skill that can be developed through practice. While the concept may feel abstract, the Stoics believed in grounding their teachings in action. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means embracing the work required to grow, even if it feels awkward or uncomfortable at first. The good news is that with simple, practical exercises, you can train yourself to release what no longer serves you and find peace in the process. Here are 3 powerful exercises to help you master the art of letting go. 1. Journaling. Separate what's in your control from what's not. When life feels overwhelming, it's often because we're tangled in worries about things outside our control. Journaling is a simple yet profound way to untangle these thoughts. Start by writing down what's bothering you, whether it's a conflict at work, an unfulfilled goal, or a lingering regret. Then create 2 columns, one for what's within your control and another for what's not. In the control column, list the actions you can take to address the issue. In the no control column, list the elements you must accept or release. For example, if you're stressed about a project deadline, you might control how you allocate your time, but not how others contribute. Seeing this division on paper helps clarify where your energy should go and what you need to let go of. Journaling also helps you track your progress. Over time, you'll notice patterns in what triggers your worries and develop a stronger sense of resilience. 2. Breathing exercises. Release tension in the present moment. When emotions like fear, anger, or frustration take hold, your body often responds with tension. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, and your mind spirals. Deep, intentional breathing is one of the quickest ways to break this cycle and ground yourself in the present. Try this simple exercise. Sit in a quiet space and close your eyes. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your lungs expand. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, releasing all the air. Repeat this cycle several times, focusing on the sensation of your breath. With each exhale, visualize yourself releasing the tension, worry, or thought that's weighing you down. This exercise not only calms your nervous system, but also creates mental clarity, allowing you to approach challenges with a fresh perspective. 3. Meditation. Focus on the present and let go of distractions. Meditation is a cornerstone of Stoic practice, helping you cultivate awareness and acceptance. Dedicate just a few minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on the present moment. You don't need any fancy tools or techniques. Simply find a quiet place and sit comfortably. Begin by closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. As thoughts arise, and they will, observe them without judgment, then gently guide your attention back to your breathing. The goal isn't to stop thinking, but to detach from your thoughts and recognize that they are temporary. If a specific worry or regret keeps surfacing, visualize it as a cloud drifting across the sky. Acknowledge it and then let it float away. This practice trains your mind to let go of mental clutter and return to the simplicity of the present. Bonus: reflect on Stoic wisdom daily. The Stoics lived by principles that can guide us through life's complexities. Reflecting on their wisdom can serve as a daily reminder to let go. One of the most powerful quotes from Epictetus is, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Keep this phrase somewhere visible, on your desk, phone, or journal, and revisit it when you feel overwhelmed. Let it remind you to focus on what you can control and release the rest. Letting go is a skill that grows with practice. These exercises may feel challenging at first, but with consistency, they become tools you can rely on during stressful or uncertain times. Whether you're journaling to gain clarity, breathing to release tension, or meditating to ground yourself, each small effort brings you closer to a state of inner peace. Remember, the art of letting go isn't about perfection, it's about progress. The more you practice, the lighter you'll feel, and the more energy you'll have to focus on what truly matters. So, start today. Pick one of these exercises and commit to trying it. In time, you'll find that letting go isn't just a practice. It's a way of living with freedom, clarity, and resilience. 11. Learn from the Stoics. The wisdom of the Stoics has stood the test of time, offering a blueprint for navigating life's uncertainties with grace and strength. At the heart of their philosophy is the idea of letting go, of control, fear, and unnecessary attachment. But what does this look like in practice, and how can their teachings help you let go in your own life? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, taught a principle that is as relevant today as it was centuries ago. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. This simple idea is the foundation of Stoic letting go. When you focus on what's within your control, your actions, your thoughts, your character, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control what's beyond your reach. It's liberating to realize that external events, other people's opinions, and even outcomes are not your responsibility. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrote his famous Meditations in the quiet moments of his rule. Despite the immense pressure of leading an empire, he practiced letting go by constantly reminding himself to align with nature's flow. He wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" Instead of fighting against life's challenges, he embraced them as opportunities to grow stronger. The Stoics also teach us that letting go doesn't mean passivity. It's about engaging fully with life while maintaining a sense of detachment from the outcome. Think of it as planting a garden. You prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and water them regularly. But you cannot control the weather, the quality of the soil, or how quickly the plants will grow. All you can do is your part, trusting that nature will take care of the rest. The same applies to your goals, relationships, and challenges. Another key lesson from the Stoics is the practice of reframing obstacles. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you encounter difficulties, rather than viewing them as blocks, consider how they might guide you toward new solutions, perspectives, or strengths. This shift in mindset is a powerful way to let go of frustration and embrace life as it unfolds. One practical way to apply Stoic wisdom is through daily reflection. Spend a few moments at the end of each day reviewing what went well and what didn't. Ask yourself, did I focus on what I could control? Did I let go of unnecessary worries? How can I approach tomorrow with greater clarity and calm? This practice not only helps you internalize Stoic principles, but also allows you to identify patterns that may be holding you back. Gratitude is another Stoic tool for letting go. By appreciating what you have rather than fixating on what's missing, you shift your focus from lack to abundance. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is, poor." Letting go of cravings for more, whether it's more success, recognition, or possessions, opens the door to contentment and peace. Finally, remember that letting go is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. The Stoics didn't claim to master their emotions or detachments overnight. They worked at it consistently, using each challenge as an opportunity to strengthen their resolve. You too can develop this skill over time, finding freedom in the things you release and power in the things you choose to focus on. As you navigate your own journey, let the Stoics be your guide. Their wisdom offers practical tools and timeless encouragement to help you embrace the art of letting go. Reflect on their teachings, apply their practices, and remind yourself daily, you have the power to focus on what matters and let go of the rest. In doing so, you'll find a sense of peace and purpose that carries you through life's uncertainties with grace and resilience. 12. When one door closes, another opens. Letting go can often feel like a loss, whether it's the end of a relationship, the failure of a project, or the fading of a dream. The act of releasing something dear to you can be painful, but the Stoics remind us that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight." While it's natural to grieve what's gone, it's equally important to recognize the opportunities that arise in its place. Think about the moments in your life when something didn't go as planned. Perhaps you didn't get the job you wanted, or a relationship ended abruptly. At the time, it might have felt like the world was collapsing. But looking back, how many of those closed doors led you to new paths, new people, or new perspectives you wouldn't trade for anything? The Stoics teach us to embrace change as a constant and necessary part of life. Instead of resisting it or dwelling on what's lost, they encourage us to shift our focus to what lies ahead. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This means living in a way that accepts life's twists and turns, trusting that even setbacks serve a greater purpose. When one door closes, it's an invitation to reframe your perspective. Rather than asking, "Why did this happen to me?" try asking, What can I learn from this? How can this experience guide me towards something better? This mindset turns disappointments into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Letting go of a closed door also creates space for something new. Imagine trying to hold on to every chapter of a book at once. You'd never move forward to discover how the story unfolds. The same is true in life. By clinging to the past, you limit your ability to embrace the future. Letting go isn't about erasing what came before. It's about honoring it as a stepping stone to what's next. Practical steps can help you navigate the transition. Start by acknowledging your feelings. Grief, disappointment, or frustration are all valid. Allow yourself to feel them without judgment, but don't let them define you. Journaling can be a helpful tool for processing your emotions and clarifying your thoughts about what you're leaving behind. Next, shift your focus to possibilities. Make a list of the doors that have opened because of the one that closed. For instance, losing a job might lead to new career opportunities or a chance to pursue a passion you'd neglected. Ending a relationship might create space for self-discovery or the possibility of meeting someone more aligned with your values. Another practice is gratitude. While it may feel counterintuitive, expressing gratitude for what you've lost can help you move forward. Thank the closed door for the lessons it taught you, the experiences it gave you, and the ways it shaped your journey. Gratitude transforms loss into a source of strength and perspective. Finally, embrace patience. New beginnings rarely reveal themselves immediately. The Stoics remind us that life unfolds in its own time. Trust the process and remember that each step forward brings you closer to the opportunities waiting on the other side. The wisdom of the Stoics is clear. Endings are not failures. They are transitions. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you free yourself to grow, evolve, and discover what's truly meant for you. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. So the next time you face a closed door, pause and reflect. What lessons does it hold? What opportunities lie ahead? Letting go isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a new chapter. Trust that when one door closes, another always opens, often leading to a place better than you ever imagined. As we come to the end of this episode, take a moment to reflect on what we've explored, the art of letting go and the strength it brings to our lives. The Stoics taught us that peace and resilience are not found in controlling everything around us, but in learning to release what is beyond our power. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about trusting the flow of life, focusing on what you can control, and making space for what truly matters. When you let go of forcing outcomes, unnecessary worries, and the weight of the past, you create room for growth, clarity, and freedom. It's like clearing out a cluttered room. Suddenly, there's space to breathe, to think, and to welcome new opportunities. Each step in letting go is an act of strength, showing that you trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. Remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Letting go of what blocks your path transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Whether it's a relationship, a goal, or a mindset, releasing what no longer serves you opens doors to new beginnings. The journey of letting go is not always easy, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It's a practice that builds resilience, fosters inner peace, and aligns you with the natural flow of life. The Stoics remind us that the freedom we seek is already within us. It's simply waiting for us to let go of what weighs us down. So, as you move forward, Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I can release today? How can I focus on what I can control and let go of the rest? With each small step, you'll find that letting go isn't an act of loss. It's an act of liberation. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Stoic wisdom and the art of letting things happen. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need these lessons, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on living a life of strength, purpose, and peace. Remember, life flows best when we let go of the unnecessary and embrace the possibilities ahead. Stay strong, stay focused, and let go.